let's get some facts right, and that's why I'm coming to you first, Mr. Sharma. Now, the IMD had issued a red warning on Saturday evening for rainfall above 21 centimeters, but Kayalpattinam, which is in Thoothukudi district, received 95 centimeter rainfall in a day. It was more than the annual rainfall that the entire district receives, which is an average of 70 cm. Tell me something. Do you agree with this? That the predictions were not at all, I mean, they were not only delayed, they were not precise. Mr. Sharma?
Ms. Sudha, very unfortunate that we had such a cataclysmic event over down south. 4 districts, they marooned even till date also. But then coming to your question that whether the forecasts were correct or not, or the prediction was made on time or not, you see, they, like you rightly said that the IMD had given a red warning, but that was on Saturday only. Before that, obviously notice was not much. But then let me tell you, the rainfall events of such magnitude, such scale, they cannot be caught by any of the numerical models. Whatever the best we have got nowadays, it cannot be, because in the spread of that model which it gives, there are some pockets in between, small scale pocket, which we call it as a mesoscale systems, which will give you such a downpour. It is not possible for those models to catch. I'm not here to bail out the IMD as such, that they are not at fault, but then every model, every person will have some limitation. All these models also, they also work with some limitations. The scale, a meter of rain in 24 hours, never heard of any of these places. And then some other couple of places having 500 millimeter, 600 millimeter in 24 hours. It is beyond the imagination, beyond comprehension of all these numerical models. You see, as far as the other things are concerned, obviously the deluge was so much, it was beyond the carrying capacity of our infrastructure, whatever we have. No amount of infrastructure can carry this type of rain, this type of a downpour,
Huh.
and that too
Whenever we
non-stop
have
for over
discussed,
24 hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Sharma, whenever we have discussed these kind of mishaps, we've always patted ourselves on the back where we were and where we have reached now. We've done a stupendous job, with every, even MIGJOM, even before MIGJOM, we did a splendid job so far as monitoring systems are concerned. Several experts are saying, you may not say it, but I am saying it, MK Stalin is politicizing the entire rain deluge issue. When you shift blame, instead of saying this is the best we have done, let us all hold hands together, when you do this, it's clearly politicizing. It's almost like covering your tracks, because there is an all round criticism. I will come to the journalist for that. But Sri Sharma, was there more moisture inside the system than anticipated? That could be a possibility. I mean, these extreme events because of climate change, I mean, that's quite possible, isn't it?
Quite possible, quite possible. There are almost, sometimes you have some, you call it as atmospheric rivers also, abundance of moisture. As it is, those districts, that pocket which we are talking about, has huge water bodies on the left, on the right, on the south. Indian Ocean is there, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, no dearth of moisture. Okay, that is the beyond actually comprehension, that this much of moisture, there is no dearth of moisture. Yes, the scale of event was such. Yes, the models also, they were not able to predict to the accurate of to the last centimeter as such. We forget about what happened in July 2005 for Mumbai? Similar thing. Okay, over 1,000 millimeter of rainfall in about 24 hours, less than 24 hours, and then everything was submerged. Similar
Yeah.
thing happened here
Another,
also.
an expert I was reading, Sharma ji, he says this was a relatively shallow system. It was a combination of a strong easterly wave and a cyclonic circulation. So, it is quite possible that IMD or other agencies did not predict this magnitude of rains. For the benefit of the viewers, decode this. I mean, wherever I have read, except for the politicians who will shoot off their mouths every expert, this is science. This is not some kind of winning an election, right? Even there you predict this party will win, it does not win. Do we hold the collar of politicians? I am only speaking for the weather experts. You know, what do you have to say about this expert and someone who is a former secretary, Ministry of Earth Sciences?
These, you see, whether these cyclones or the other weather systems, any significant systems like this, they have a track record of defying the timelines, track, intensity, and this is one of those things. Otherwise, yes, we are in the northeast monsoon season, active monsoon, northeast monsoon season, but then this system, which has caused all this havoc, or it was a little way to the south of our landmass, a main landmass. Okay, it was definitely moving across southern parts of Sri Lanka, Comorin region, and those are the parts which were expected to be impacted more than what we had. We had a much bigger share than what it was anticipated, but then it has happened. Okay, it was beyond the capacity of model forecasting. It has happened like that, but then it doesn't happen very often. Okay, I haven't seen such a heavy rainfall in the last few decades as such over that pocket as such. But then the numerical models on which the forecast is based, they were not able to catch this particular such heavy
All right,
rainfall as
I
such.
have to take a
You
break, Mr. Sharma, and to all my
okay?
other friends also, journalist friends, but I am coming back. So please do not go away. I'll ask a question of Mr. Sharma once we are back from the break, and then I go to all the political analysts and journalists. Do stay with us. You're watching the South Indian.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back. You're watching the South Indian, and we are discussing the politics which is being played over the floods in certain parts, that is southern Tamil Nadu. I am speaking with Air Vice Marshal retired G.P. Sharma, President of Meteorology and Climate Change, SkyMet, and later I go to very senior journalist to talk about the politics which is being played out. Mr. Sharma, before I let you go, I want to ask you something. Saturday,
Yes.
if they give a red warning, which is Saturday evening, how do you think the state government copes with it the very next morning, sir? Do you think there is a mechanism in place? Because, you know, our state is a coastal state. I mean, you have to really see to it that, you know, enough and more warnings are given to people. There are low-lying areas. So, do you think it is enough time, really?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was too short a notice. Okay. The on top of that, the terrain is such we have. It's not a heterogeneous terrain there. It is a heterogeneous rather. It is not homogeneous terrain. You have all sort of terrain, whether the little hills are there, ghats are there, plains are there, oceans are there, and a mixed type of terrain which increases the complexity of the phenomena as such. This is what it has done. But then, notwithstanding, the notice obviously was less than what it was not an adequate notice. I will put it that way. Okay. But then let me tell you, no one does it intentionally. If the models are correct and reading it rightly, then they would have issued also. Okay.
Yeah.
It is not the first time. But then, yes, it is definitely this type of events. They require much bigger notice, adequate notice. But let me tell you, even if it was there, the scale of the event was such, possibly we may have been still in the same situation, marooned like this, what has happened. We remember Big Jump, which happened around 4th or 5th of December or so, in spite of the warnings. It was, the city was drowned, areas were submerged, waist deep water for days together. There was a warning that time.
Absolutely.
So once again, I say, I am not going to bail out IMD. I am not at all. But then, yes, notice was surely it was not adequate. Yes.
Yeah, but you say, but what I like about you is that you're being very fair, Air Marshal Sharma, because you're saying notice was not adequate, but this is the best that they could do, and nothing is done intentionally or deliberately. Whereas there is an insinuation that maybe things could have done better, because the way Mano Tangaraj has gone on and on, you know, if we can play out his tweet, long tweets on Twitter saying this should have been done, western models are much better, that way western cities are much better than the cities in Tamil Nadu. Why don't they all go there? Meanwhile, Mr. G. P. Sharma, thank you very much, sir, for putting things in perspective. Thank you indeed. And now it's time for me to go to all the others, and that being, you know, senior journalist Jagdishwaran, Muralidharan and Banu Chandar. Jagdishwaran, don't you think that there is blatant politics being played on the flood situation? We all know that even, you know, MIGJOM, we just coming out of it, the government is distributing 6,000 rupees. The High Court is today saying do not give cash because that can lead to corruption. And you know, happily you come to Delhi and you ask for intermediate interim relief and then more relief, and then you say that IMD. Don't you think that this is really kind of trying to cover your tracks, Jagdishwaran?
See, the way I read both Stalin's speech as well as Mano Tangaraj's speech, I felt like they were not accusing anybody. They're not accusing IMD. They're saying things could have been better. And that's how I read it. Because you didn't put out the entire tweet of Mano Tangaraj. He was saying, despite these challenges, this is not a time for blame, but for collective ownership and action. He was saying repeatedly, let's do it better in the future. Let's ask our union government to do better. Let's ask our IMD to do better in the future. That's what he meant. I mean, that's how I read it. Because I don't think even Stalin was accusing, saying IMD. He wasn't accusing. Every time we want better models, because the time red alert was given was 2:12 p.m. and by that time we already had 20 centimeters of rainfall in Tirunelveli and Tiruchendur and Thoothukudi. And how does it help us? And at the same time, even though you are saying you can't read other models, go somewhere else, we have private bloggers. We have Tamil Nadu weatherman, Delta weatherman. There are so many weathermans, private bloggers who predict it much better than the IMD. What do you say for that?
Private weathermen, you know, they are not recognized, Jagdishwaran.
They are not recognized. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. They are not recognized. We still have to go with the IMD.
Yeah,
and we
but let me tell you, there is past history. You know, I have witnessed it. Mr. Muka Stalin in Delhi talking about Tadapoosi. I did an interview with him, that is vaccine. He spoke about GST issue. He spoke about the Sri Lanka issue. He spoke about Hindi imposition. And now, when Mano Tangaraj, I respect what he says, this is not the time for blame, but you missed one word. This is the time for ownership. What ownership? Why should the center? I can also say what was the state doing. It is when a Tamilan is, you know, suffering in Thoothukudi, a pregnant woman has to be taken up. You saw that visual? If we have that visual, please play it out. It's scary. I saw the visual. It's playing out right now. Look at that. I mean, I'm pregnant and I'm being, you know, it is very. Those children who are dead, who were sitting in schools and the wall collapsed, we are all responsible for that. To blame someone else, and I think it's a bit of politics which is being played, because there is all round criticism which is unfair, which is also unfair. Muralidharan, please come in here. This kind of politicizing, you know, there has been also Mr. Yedappadi Palaniswamy has also criticized what, and you know, opposition parties will do it. But overall, do you think Mr. Stalin is now become adept at parking everything at the center's door?
I think you have said it, and I think even the other gentleman who joined us from the meteorology, I think Captain or whoever, and he also said that, you know, like, you know, we can't blame anybody, and whatever's happening, it's like, you know, it's like definitely there is no control, because I think 1 year's rainfall happened in 24 hours. Nobody can do anything. But the problem here is, one is the ownership, as you said. Second is, you know, admitting mistakes and trying to correct it, then trying to cover it up. So Stalin was similar to Mr. Edappadi. He was criticizing the Edappadi government in 2015.
Yes.
So what did he do different so that he is prepared for such events? Today they have complained about the IMD. I'll tell you, when Mr. PTR Tyagarajan was there, he allocated 10 crores to improve the system in Tamil Nadu. Nobody knows where that 10 crores went. Okay, this is apart from the 4,000 crores which they used for stormwater drainage in Chennai, which also we know that failed miserably. But what is happening now in down south, Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi and all, it's like, it is sad it's happening. One. Second is DMK's, inability to handle the situation coming out clearly because the CM had announced a rescue team, coordination team with a couple of ministers. And he also had Mr. Anita Radhakrishnan in that.
Right.
To our surprise, Mr. Anita Radhakrishnan was stuck in the water for past 3 days and he was rescued today. See, the CM didn't even know that he is missing. This is the kind of preparedness DMK is having. So obviously they are also getting, flock from all sides for all the shortcomings. So they don't know how to counter it. So they're blaming the IMD now. So this is again politics, as you said.
No, it
But I
clearly
think it's time
politics.
to